For a lot of families, there's no better place to raise a kid than in the country. There's just something about the green fields, space, and wildlife that make it the idyllic setting for a childhood. Life just couldn't be better. Or so it seemed to Brock and Courtney Ernest. But when the couple's 3-year-old Carson disappeared from the family's rural wheat farm, they were in a state of panic. With so many places for the boy to hide and a dangerous downpour of rain in the forest, there were 1,000 ways this could end very, very poorly. But then Courtney had a comforting thought. Carson might not have been alone. Brock and Courtney Ernest loved their life in Cooperstown, North Dakota. The small town was home to fewer than 1,000 people, and the young couple ran a wheat farm, all while taking care of their 2 young children and golden retriever, Cooper. The Ernestes had rescued Cooper as a puppy after he'd been abandoned on the side of the road. Had it not been for them, he might not have been long for the world. For the most part, he owed the family his life. On the farm, Cooper paid his debt and dedication to one Ernest in particular, Carson, who was Brock and Courtney's oldest child. Together, the 3-year-old boy and his dog were almost always seen playing together. More often than not, Courtney could see Carson outside with his green toy truck, clearly a future farmer in the making, and with Cooper running around or lying beside his best pal. But on one day in May of 2014, something went wrong. Carson had been outside playing with Cooper one evening, but by 7:30 p.m. he hadn't come inside the house yet. I figured he'd start getting hungry sometime, Courtney told to local news media, but he never showed up for dinner. So Courtney began hurriedly searching for her son. She checked all around the house and on the farm, in the barns and under the tractors. After several hours, she still couldn't find her son anywhere. "I lost it," Courtney said. With a nervous laugh, Brock admitted, "I was a little worried." So at around 8:30, the couple conceded they wouldn't find Carson on their own and dialed 911. Still, something gave Courtney the tiniest sliver of relief. Cooper was missing too, and strangely that offered Courtney and Brock some comfort. "You start thinking the worst," Courtney said, "but then again, I knew that Cooper was gone. If anybody was going to find Carson, they'd just have to find Cooper." After the 911 call, an emergency search party formed, and in true small-town fashion, it included just about everyone within city limits. Over 200 people on foot, horseback, and ATVs, even a plane and a dog, showed up for the hunt for the missing boy. However, the weather played a factor too. Temperatures in North Dakota can drop down low that time of year, and even more troubling was that it was raining, turning farmlands into mud puddles. In other words, they had to find Carson and Cooper fast. By about 2 a.m., however, authorities and searchers hadn't found the boy or his dog, who at that point had been missing for 7 hours. In fact, authorities sent the search parties on foot home as forecasts showed a dangerous downpour on the way. Then, just a few minutes after part of the search team disbanded, someone ominously knocked on Courtney and Brock's front door. Still fearing the worst, Courtney answered it. "We found them," the person told a dazed Courtney. It was true. A mile southeast from the family's farm, a firefighter named Pat had stumbled upon a lump lying in the wet grass. He called out for Carson, and the lump responded. And right alongside Carson was Cooper, the golden retriever. Through all those long, cold hours, the pup had refused to abandon his buddy. He'd also been doing a lot more than just lying in the grass with Carson. The dog had actually laid on top of the wet and freezing 3-year-old. That's right, Carson's canine companion had sacrificed his own well-being to keep his little friend warm on that rainy night. The dog's heroism brought Courtney and Brock to tears. "He's a great dog," Courtney said of Cooper. "I just didn't realize he'd actually be like lying on him and keeping him warm and protecting him." Brock added, "I was really proud of him." After Carson and Cooper returned home, paramedics rushed the boy to the hospital to check on his condition. With only a few torn clothes, the 3-year-old was released shortly after his arrival, though not without a complaint. "He came up to me today," Courtney said a few days after the incident, "and he said, 'Mom, I was really scared, but Cooper laid on me. He kept me warm.'" That prompted a question from Courtney. "What about your feet?" she asked her son. Carson shook his head. "No, not those." Apparently, he was willing to give the dog credit for his heroism. The playful 3-year-old was still a bit irked that Cooper didn't think to keep his feet warm. How incredible is it that this rescue dog returned the favor to the people who saved his life by saving their son. You can tell by this story that the little boy and his best furry friend share a bond that couldn't be broken. Thanks to this heroic dog and his protective instincts, one little child survived a terrifying experience. Your move, Lassie. I hope you liked this video. If so, please hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon to make sure you never miss a video from our channel.